Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, good night, whatever it is in your area. I am back with another What Sold from last week video. I'm going to be sharing all of my sales on both eBay and Poshmark, do a little bit of a breakdown of how much it cost me to sell those items, as well as some highlighted sales of some things that I think you guys should pick up to flip for a profit. Before we jump into today's video, I wanted to take a moment to talk about one of my favorite ways to save money and treat yourself. Dossier is an online fragrance company that takes inspiration from luxury perfumes and colognes. They recreate those scents at a much more affordable cost. One thing I love about Dossier is that they send you both a tester and a full-size bottle. You can use the tester to determine if you want to keep the full size, and if you don't like it, you can just send the full size back for a refund. They come in really nice packaging, and although it is affordable, it feels very expensive, perfect for giving yourself a gift or other people. I've personally given a couple of these to my friends and family, and they love being able to try new scents every month. So if you are into luxury fragrance, you definitely want to check this site out. This month I tried Fruity Neroli, which is inspired by Armani's My Way. And then I also got a men's fragrance, which was called Musky Oak Moss. That is inspired by Creed Aventus, which, by the way, retails for $335, but you can get it at Dossier for just $49. And if you use my code, you can get it for even cheaper. If you feel like you want to dip your toes into fragrances, but you're not sure what you would like to try, you can take their online quiz to help you find your next scent. If you run over there right now, they're currently having a Black Friday sale with some pretty good deep discounts. You can also use my exclusive link and coupon code below, which is 10 Cayley, to get yours today. Let's dive back into last week's sales.
All right, you guys, I am going to go quickly through everything because I do have a lot to show you, as you can see by all the tabs at the top of the screen. So a lot of items. I was watching, I think it was Hustling Hooks the other day, and they were basically making fun of reseller YouTubers that when they did What Sold videos, they told you how much they paid, what all the fabric content was, what the weather was like that day. And I was like, oh gosh, that's totally me. Way too much detail, probably useless details at some times. So I'll try to run through it real quick and hit the key points, but I'm going to be moving pretty quickly. And I'm also going to be sharing in today's video how much I paid for each item. So all of these sales that we're talking about happened between October 31st through November 6th. That's a Sunday through a Saturday. In total, between eBay and Poshmark, I sold a total of 96 items for a gross sales total of $3,279.22, making my average sale price $34.16. That's pretty average for us. We're usually between $30 and $40. Estimated cost of goods based on average buy cost was $384, and estimated net was $1,927.19. That's an estimated net after fees, shipping costs, and an estimated cost of goods. On eBay, I sold 76 items. On Poshmark, I sold just 20. Gross sales on eBay were $2,645.22, and on Poshmark, $634. Let's dive into the sales. This is a Lululemon women's leggings. We had them listed, I think, for $60 or $65, accepted an offer of $40, and we paid $4.99. One thing I'll say about Lululemon is I would try to get the more modern looking pieces. Next up is this wacky jacket by Venerio. This item sold for $28. We paid $1 for it. And whenever you see anything super wacky, the art to wear, which you can see we put in the title community, hippie is a great word, artsy is a great word, abstract can be a good word, but anything with this patchy looking artsy pattern, in my opinion, is worth looking up. Next up are a pair of Sorel boots. Sorel is a great brand to look for during this time of the year. We actually paid a little too much for these. We paid $12.99, thought that they would flip for more than that. However, due to the condition that we didn't really notice when we first picked them up, And then the style in general, we shouldn't have paid $12.99 for these boots. We still made a little bit of money. We had them listed for $39.91 and accepted an offer of $35.92. So just barely doubled our money on those. But in general, Sorel is a great brand to look for. I would keep an eye out for the more modern boots, however. This is just a Chris Farley Down by the River t-shirt. I find that anything with nostalgia does really well, even sometimes if it's not exactly vintage or something like that. These I did a comp on. They were doing pretty good sell-through rate wise. I paid $1.99 for it. It sold for an offer of $27.87. Next up is this Eddie Bauer women's shirt jacket. Shirt jackets in both men's and women's do pretty good. Eddie Bauer is a good brand to look for that style in. So this is just a women's thick fleece shirt jacket. We accepted an offer of $30 on this and we paid $3.99. This is an Express women's silk slip dress. Silk slip dresses were doing extremely well for me throughout the year, regardless of brand, and I like the style of this one, especially when it's a midi length. And this one had some extra like ruffle cowl neck details and was an older tag. And so we made sure to put Y2K in the title because that was kind of the style of this. We listed this for $34.95. It sold for full price, and we paid $4.99 for it at a thrift store. This is a Pendleton women's vest. We found this at the bins. This is a great brand to look for in wool pieces, but especially when they have Aztec or Western prints, you can ask for a lot of money for them. I listed this very high at I think $125 or best offer. A buyer and I went back and forth and we settled on $70 for this vest. I probably could have gotten a little more, but I did pick it up at the bins, and we're trying to quick flip most of these items to prepare for more inventory. This is another item we found at the bins. This is an Anthropologie brand, Rosie Niera. And it was also an extra large, so that helped us to sell it pretty quickly. In general, I am seeing an uptick in sales on Anthropologie sweater dresses. That's not to say to sell or to pick up everything sweater dress in Anthropologie, but I will say they have been selling well for us. We listed this at $27.96. Again, picked it up at the bins. It did sell for full asking price. Next up is this J.Jill Women's Love linen dress, new with tags. You can see it retailed for $99. We had this listed for $69.97, and it did sell for full asking price. We paid $4.99 at a thrift store. Actually sold a lot of J.Jill dresses this week, but this is the one that I chose to show you because especially linen dresses in this brand do very well. Next is this men's jean. The brand is Flint and Tinder. Not a lot of people know about this brand, but I always pick it up when I come across it. It's sold on a site called Huckberry, and pretty much all the brands that they list on that Huckberry site I like to pick up because for me they flip very, very quickly. We had this listed at $39.97. It did sell for full asking price. We paid $4.99 at a thrift store. Next is another men's piece. This is the brand Roar. Highly recommend picking up this brand. We paid a little up for this, paid $6.99 for it. It did sell for a full asking price of $29.97. So pretty good return on investment despite paying a little up, but this brand's pretty recognizable, and oftentimes they have a lot of graphics, which you can actually sell for more. This is the brand Honro of Switzerland, and they make really cozy pieces. A lot of the times they're pajamas, and this was a men's pocket shirt. We had this listed for $39.98 and sold on an offer for $35.98. We paid $4. This is the brand Bila, not to be confused with Bia, which is spelled with a Y and not an L. Bia with a Y is by Johnny Was. This, however, is not, and a lot of people get confused. However, in certain pieces, Bila with an L is still a good brand to pick up. A lot of wacky pieces like the tiered look of this. It was also a size large. And once again, anything with those mixed patterns does really well, in my opinion. We have this listed for $24.99. It sold for full asking price. We paid $4.39 at a thrift store. This is a pair of men's Lucky Brand jeans. These are the 121 Heritage Slim jeans, and they were new with tags, so we did list them pretty high. Love selling this brand in men's jeans. Women's jeans you have to be a little bit more careful about. Had these listed for $49.98. They sold for full asking price. We paid $4.99 at a thrift store. Next is Joseph Ribkoff. This is a brand we like picking up during this time of the year in the colder weather season. People like to buy it during the holidays, I think, to wear to the get-togethers and stuff. But this brand's pretty tried and true for me. I don't come across it very often, but when I do, we usually pick it up. Had this listed for $34.88. It sold for full asking price. We paid $4.39. Next up is an Everlane women's cashmere sweater that Nikki found. Not all pieces in Everlane do extremely well. However, the cashmere sweaters do, and I think really any sweaters in this brand are a good pickup right now. I had this listed for $39.88. It sold for full asking price. We paid $4.39 at a thrift store. This is a leather company, American Leather Company handbag. I would recommend picking up this brand. We picked this up for $4.99 at a thrift store. It was a super soft, supple leather, had a lot of embossing detail, and it was a nice tan color. All those factors combined, I listed it pretty high at $49.88. It sold very quickly at full asking price. We paid $4.99. This is a Lucky Brand men's piece again. These are a pair of cargo shorts. This was my first time coming across men's cargo shorts in this brand, but they do have a really good sell-through rate. Don't sell for a ton, about 25 bucks, but still a good pickup. We paid $4.99, had them listed for $24.89. They sold on offer for $22.40. This is becoming one of our tried and true brands, and we've actually found quite a few of them lately. The brand is Nat Nast. It is also a men's brand. I will say, however, that pretty much the only thing in this brand that's really good are the men's silk button-up shirts. I found jeans, I found cotton polos. They don't do as well as the silk shirts. This one Nikki found, and it was a more unique one. It had these cities embroidered all over it, which I found out are big bolos in this brand. So this one we have listed pretty high at $59.89. It sold on an offer for $53.90, and we paid $4.39 at a thrift store. We've really been liking picking up hats lately, especially at the bins. It's something I think a lot of resellers pass on, but there is a lot of valuable hats, and they're selling for as much, if not more, than jeans and t-shirts sometimes. So this brand is called Hannah Hats. It is a wool kind of newsboy style hat, and I found out that this brand is pretty good. It sold very quickly for full asking price of $24.89, and we picked this one up at the bins. Next is another bins hat find. This is Polo by Ralph Lauren. And this is a more vintage hat, which is why I picked it up despite the fact that it looked a little worn out. This sold very, very quickly. I listed high at $29.89. It sold for full asking price, and again, we picked this one up at the bins as well. This is a pair of men's Prana pants. One of our favorite brands to pick up in both men's and women's. Especially the hiking pants. We had these listed for $34.89. They sold on an offer for $31.40. We paid $4.99. This is a men's Carbon 2 Cobalt shirt, another brand that we like picking up in the men's department. Had this shirt listed for $24.89 and it sold for full asking price. We paid $4.39. This is another bins pickup. We found a bunch of suspenders at the bins. And this one we listed for $29.99. I think we listed most of them for about $30 unless they had a special color to them. This one sold for full asking price, and they've all been selling for full asking price at about that $30 range. This is a men's polo by Ralph Lauren, just a thick flannel shirt. Picked this one up because it was thick and because of the red plaid, which is really trendy right now. We listed this for $29.99. It sold at that price and we paid $4.39. This is an LL Bean women's slipper moccasin booty kind of thing. Kind of a small size and a size 6. We actually picked these up at the bins. I like buying slipper kind of things with the real shearling inside. They tend to do well, and especially when you can get them at the bins. Obviously you can get them for pretty cheap. Had these listed for $29.99. They sold on an offer for $26.99. Here's another one of those suspenders. This brand is Trafalgar. Highly recommend picking up this brand. It has a really good following in the men's department. And again, just a pair of suspenders. These also sold for a full asking price of $29.99, and we picked them up at the bins. Here's another Lululemon piece. These again are a more modern style of Lululemon. We picked these ones up at the bins. They sold on an offer for $26.99. Moving on to some Poshmark sales, we sold this Dallas Cowboys NFL pullover. I don't know what it is about this team, but this team flips so quickly for me. It's super popular, so whenever I can find pretty much anything Cowboys, I pick it up, especially in the more substantial pieces. This one sold almost immediately despite there being a small stain at the top of the shoulder, otherwise was in very clean condition. We accepted an offer of $50 and we picked this up at a thrift store for $4.39. These are a pair of Madewell jeans. I will say I used to love finding these. Now it's kind of just like because they most of the time end up sitting for us. We paid $4.99 for these ones. We picked these ones up because of the style, the size, and the distressing. So all of those factors combined. We listed this, I think at $40. They sold on an offer for $30. And again, we paid full price $4.99 at a thrift store. Also a $4.99 thrift store find was this J. McLaughlin women's dress. We like picking this brand up, especially when there are crazy prints. It's similar to Lily Pulitzer, and it does have a following. This one sold for $25. These next two are both the same brand, however they were purchased by different people. This is the brand Travis Mathew. This one was actually missing its tag, but we knew it was Travis Mathew because there is a spell out on the front of the shirt right here. This sold pretty quickly for $25. We paid $4.39 for this one. And this one we picked up at the bins. This one did have its tag. It sold for $23. This was a really good find at a thrift store. Love picking up substantial pieces in LL Bean. And most of the time, if it is new enough, you can look up this item ID to find exactly what it was called. This one was called the Waterproof Weather Challenger 3-in-1 jacket. Really clean jacket, and we only paid $4.99 at a thrift store for this. It sold for $85 very, very quickly. Don't skip on LL Bean, especially in substantial pieces. This is an UMG dress. UMG is known for their bohemian styles. Picked this up because it was an extra large and because it was long sleeve with a bunch of embroidery. Paid $5.98 for this. It sold for $30, and sometimes you can ask for more for UMG if it is a substantial piece with a lot of embroidery. Next is this Vici jacket. I do like selling this brand, but I try to stick to the more unique pieces. This one was a long duster jacket, plaid, totally on trend for fall. I really like this. I almost kept this for myself. We paid $4.39 for this. It sold for $35. Next up is another LL Bean piece. This is a women's pullover fleece snap jacket with the snap buttons down halfway through. These in both men's and women's in this brand are doing extremely well for me. So again, don't pass on LL Bean. This sold for $35. We paid $3.99. Next up is this men's Outdoor Research jacket. Outdoor Research is a great brand to look for. I don't come across it often, but when I do, I usually pick it up. We paid $8.99 for this, so paid a little bit up for it, but it did sell for $32. Next up is a pair of men's Adriana Goldschmied jeans. This is another brand that I think in men's jeans does way better than the women's. These are called the Everett Slim Straights. And they sold for $50. We paid $4.39. Another great men's brand to pick up. This is Ted Baker. I try to stick to the more modern looking pieces. These were a men's dress pant. They sold for $35 and we paid $4.39. Found this towel at the bins. Didn't realize it was a towel. These are like the new thing, this waffle knit Supima cotton bath towels. They're really trendy right now. This brand is called Onsen, and although there wasn't a lot listed, did have a good sell-through. We listed this single towel pre-owned from the bins for I think $35 and accepted an offer of $28. Sold very quickly. This is a Denim and Supply by Ralph Lauren. I really like this brand, pretty much in men's and women's. This was a very substantial piece, a cargo tapered camo pant, and it sold very quickly for $55. Anything camo in this brand does pretty good. We paid $4.99 for this. And lastly was this Eddie Bauer men's vintage barn coat. This is another style I would look for during this time of the year are the barn coats. You can usually tell by the pockets and the contrast collar that it is a barn coat. This one was kind of cool. It had somewhat of a distressed look. I almost left it behind at the bins just because it seemed a little worn down. Decided to go ahead with it anyways, and it did sell for $40. So I'm happy that we picked this up.
Alright guys, so that's it for what sold. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching. Don't forget to subscribe down below as well as hit the notification bell if you'd like to be notified as new content goes live. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.